In the heart of the Klondike, where the frozen earth guards its golden secrets, Parker Schnabel once stood as a titan of ambition, a young man who turned his back on college dreams to chase a legacy carved in the rugged wilderness. He became the face of Gold Rush, Discovery Channel's gritty testament to human grit and greed. At just 24, he had already unearthed $13 million in gold, a fortune built not on luck but on relentless drive. By season 14, his empire had swelled, pulling in $24 million in a single year, transforming muddy claims into television gold. His story was one of triumph. A kid from Honus, Alaska, who bet his college fund on a dream and won, leading a loyal crew through the harshest conditions to conquer the Klondike. But now the ground has shifted beneath him. The man who once moved mountains of earth finds himself buried under a different kind of weight. A legal quagmire so severe it threatens to bury his legacy forever. Parker Schnabel, the youngest prodigy to dominate the mining world, is no longer behind the wheel of his excavator. Instead, he faces a storm of accusations that could lock him away for life, with no parole, no appeals, and no way back to the life he built. The saga begins with a gamble that defined Parker's career: Dominion Creek. This wasn't just another mining claim. It was the ultimate prize. A $15 million investment that promised 80,000 ounces of gold worth over $60 million at today's prices. Unlike his earlier ventures where he leased land and paid royalties, Dominion was his outright. No landlords, no middlemen, just Parker and the earth. But the gold lay deep, 40 feet beneath frozen soil, demanding a relentless pace to extract it. With only 6 years left on his permits and water licenses, time was a ruthless adversary. Failure to meet deadlines could mean losing the claim forever, leaving millions in gold trapped underground. Parker, never one to shy away from a challenge, went all in. He expanded his operation, upgraded his equipment, and rallied his crew. Tyson Lee, Mitch Blashka, and a tight-knit team who had bled and sweated alongside him for years. The goal was audacious: 10,000 ounces in a single season, a haul worth $26 million at record-high gold prices. It was a make-or-break moment, a chance to cement his legacy as the greatest miner of his generation. The early days of season 15 showed promise. Parker's crew moved with precision, hauling millions of yards of earth. They relocated their most powerful wash plant, Bob, in a daring 25-mile journey, the longest in their history. Given just 10 hours to complete the move, the team faced breakdowns, logistical nightmares, and a ticking clock. Tyson Lee, the logistics maestro, orchestrated the chaos while mechanics scrambled to keep Bob alive. Against all odds, they succeeded. Within 4 days, Bob was roaring, pulling 290 ounces of gold worth $766,000. Combined with 276 ounces from another claim, the team hit 6,000 ounces, a $16 million milestone on paper. For a fleeting moment, it seemed Parker's gamble was paying off. The crew celebrated their camaraderie, forged in the crucible of the Klondike's unforgiving terrain. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming, cracks that would soon split wide open. Dominion Creek was no ordinary claim. It came with baggage: previously mined land, unstable ground, and a murky regulatory history. Parker's ambition pushed him to acquire additional claims, Gold Run and Sulphur Creek, for $2.5 million. These were historic sites, having yielded $1.5 billion in gold over a century, but they were fraught with challenges. The ground was scarred, the permits questionable, and the environmental stakes sky-high. Parker, undeterred, pressed forward. He needed scale, speed, and perfection to hit his 10,000-ounce goal. But perfection is a cruel illusion in mining. Equipment failures began to mount. Big Red, the aging wash plant that had generated $53 million over 12 seasons, finally broke under the strain, its tension bars snapping like brittle bones. With only Bob and another plant, Roxon, still operational, Parker's margin for error vanished. Every hour of downtime bled money. Every ounce lost was a step closer to failure. Then came the storm no one saw coming. Behind the scenes, a legal maelstrom was brewing. In his rush to maximize output before winter, Parker made deals, quick private contracts to secure adjacent claims. These deals, meant to streamline operations, bypassed critical environmental assessments. As his team dug deeper into Sulphur Creek, regulators began asking questions. Permits were missing. Protected waterways were at risk. Buried fuel tanks raised red flags. At first, the warnings were subtle, delayed inspections, quiet visits from officials. But as Parker's crew pushed harder, moving thousands of yards of gravel through sensitive areas, the scrutiny intensified. Subpoenas replaced warnings. Federal charges followed, accusing Parker of environmental violations that shook the mining world: illegal dredging, destruction of protected streams, negligent waste management. The charges painted a picture of reckless ambition. Investigators uncovered 68 violations, $3.1 million in unauthorized modifications, contaminated soil, and 8,000 gallons of unaccounted hydraulic fluid. The most damning accusation: forged inspection reports allegedly signed by subcontractors under Parker's direction. The courtroom became the new battleground. Prosecutors argued that Parker's pursuit of 10,000 ounces drove him to cut corners, ignore warnings, and prioritize profit over legality. Internal emails surfaced, revealing instructions to keep production moving despite regulatory interference. Each email read in court deepened the silence as the image of Parker, the disciplined, hard-working miner, crumbled. A former crew member who had quit mid-season delivered the final blow. His testimony claimed Parker was repeatedly warned about missing paperwork and environmental risks but chose to forge ahead. This wasn't just negligence, prosecutors argued, it was deliberate. The charges piled up: environmental misconduct, property damage, falsified reports, reckless excavation on federal land. When obstruction of justice was added, Parker's fate was sealed. The court's verdict was merciless: life imprisonment, no parole, no appeals. The scale of environmental damage triggered sentencing guidelines that stunned even seasoned observers. Yet the story took a strange turn. No dramatic arrest played out on television. No mugshot circulated online. Parker simply vanished from the public eye, leaving a void filled with rumors. Some whispered he was negotiating restitution. Others that he was in protective custody. The silence was louder than any headline. This was Parker Schnabel, the kid who turned dirt into dynasty, who led 8 spin-off shows including Parker's Trail and earned $4 million annually from mining and TV deals. His crew, paid $10,000 to $25,000 per episode, was his family. He lived modestly, sleeping on friends' couches in Los Angeles or Mexico, investing in memories, father-son trips, hunting weekends, World Series tickets, over material wealth. His great-grandfather carved a life in the Alaskan wilderness. His father still rose at 4:30 a.m. to work. Parker's summers with his grandfather, sharing dinners and stories, shaped his belief that legacy outlasts money. Now that legacy hung by a thread. Season 15, meant to be his triumph, became a nightmare. Equipment failures, permit issues, and legal battles plagued the operation. The $16 million haul was frozen, Dominion Creek suspended, and the crew scattered. Tyson and Mitch tried to keep things afloat, but without Parker, the operation felt hollow. The $15 million Dominion gamble, meant to yield 10,000 ounces annually for 6 seasons, was unraveling. The Australia Creek deal with metallic minerals, with its $1 million annual minimum and royalties, added pressure. Parker's global ventures, Guyana, Papua New Guinea, Brazil, showed his relentless drive, but also his willingness to take risks. At 16,000 feet in the Andes, he battled altitude sickness for Parker's Trail. In the Klondike, he navigated landslides and breakdowns. His $8 to $10 million net worth, modest for his success, reflected his focus on reinvestment over luxury. His only property, a 2,000-square-foot home in Hannes, was a far cry from the mansions rumored online. The disconnect with peers like Rick Ness and Tony Beats added to the isolation. Rick, busy with his own challenges, barely saw Parker. Tony, once a rival over permits and royalties, shared only fleeting coffees. Parker's 2022 Environmental Stewardship Award from the Yukon government, now overshadowed by accusations, highlighted the mining world's volatility. One season he was a hero, the next a pariah. Yet the question lingers, can he recover? The Gold Rush cameras keep rolling, but the narrative has shifted. Fans watch holding their breath, wondering if Parker's golden run has ended or if he'll rise again. His story, built on dirt and determination, isn't over, but it's on hold, suspended in a silence that speaks louder than gold. For the latest on Parker's journey, keep watching Gold Rush on Discovery Channel. Like and subscribe for more stories from the Klondike's unforgiving frontier.